Hello and welcome to the Wednesday, December 14th, 2022 Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting. We'll take roll call. Sorry. I'm the wrong page. Sorry. In accordance with the State Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on December 15th to the Hillsborough Beacon and Courier News this Monday, December 19th meeting. Apologies, we're looking at the wrong sheet. We'll move on to roll.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Ms. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Kidd?
Here.
Ms. Lanning-Beater?
Here.
Ms. Mertz?
Here.
Mr. Oliver?
Here.
Mr. Hill?
Here.
And Mr. Marino.
Here. We have a quorum. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation.
All right. I'd like to acknowledge the correspondence as listed, and we will move to the committee reports. Mr. Gillette with operations.
Right, thank you. The Operations Finance Committee met on Wednesday, December 14th. We had just a few items on the agenda. It was actually a fairly quick but productive meeting, which was good. First major item we talked about was something called Energy for America. Some of the board members might know, or the public might remember, that Energy for America is a company that was in our district about 10 years ago. And they're an energy company that monitors energy use in our schools and on a limited basis controls the energy use in our schools to provide financial savings. When they were here, they were in 4 borough schools, the high school, the middle school, Aris, and Amsterdam. Those were the schools that were equipped to do the remote monitoring. When we switched a few years ago and we did the ESIP program, we envisioned going in a different direction with a different way of monitoring and becoming more efficient. And so we did not continue that contract. Suffice it to say that avenue did not pan out. Our new Buildings and Grounds Director, Dave Fresco, recommends that we contract with Energy for America again, initially for a 6-month period to monitor the energy use of the 4 schools and to examine the possibility of expanding to the other schools. Ultimately, as per the previous contract with the company, the financial savings in energy use is intended and will pay for the contract and more. That's the whole point of having it. The amount we pay for the contract will be more than made up for in the savings. And if it doesn't work during this initial period, then we don't continue with it. But it's always worked before, it should work again. We also spoke about, and I think this arose out of a question one of the committee members had at a previous meeting, what our schedule was for Chromebook and laptop leases. As you know, we lease the Chromebooks and laptops usually for a 4-year lease, and we do that in a sort of cycle through a 4-year period. So in other words, we do the staff laptops in year 1 for a 4-year lease, then we do the grades 5 through 12 Chromebooks in the year 2. We do the grades 1 through 4 Chromebooks in the 3rd year, and the 4th year, we do other technology upgrades. And this year that we're starting to budget for now, which will begin on July 1st of 2023, that would be the year for the other technology upgrades. So I'm sure Mr. Handler is going to have some proposals for that soon for the budget for other things you do. And those will be some big ticket items, but that need to be done, but not Chromebooks and laptops. Mr. Eckert also did give us a not so happy preview of health insurance costs for the year. We're in the state plan right now. It predicts like an 18% increase. 15.8, I'm sorry. I knew there was 8 in there somewhere. 15.8% increase. As many of you know, new employees and many others do not make a contribution based on the premium. They make their contribution based on a percentage of their salary. So when these big increases hit, it affects the school's contribution greatly. And just as a heads up, the district will need to absorb this increase by raising taxes through the allowable healthcare waiver. That was about all we had for operations finance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gillette. And we'll move to Mr. Kidd for education.
One of the main purposes of the Education Committee meeting was to address what we weren't able to last time, which were the social studies electives. These most of the changes were in regard to changes in how changes in orders of the units. Some were changes to specific resources, but overall there weren't many significant changes. There's a bunch of minor ones that we needed to go over. One of them was for one of the topics of discussion was a specific link regarding mass incarceration that had some political bias, but it was determined to keep in the curriculum, mainly because all the statistics referenced in it were relevant, and it could be used as a source of class discussion rather than teaching from a point of view of discussing potential ideas rather than teaching students what to think. Other than that, we also covered course proposals and title changes. As a student who took math analysis honors myself, I'm happy that we're changing math analysis to pre-calc and math analysis honors to AP pre-calculus. This will allow for the new College Board AP testing and related to pre-calculus, and will also mean that pretty much any meeting with any college or with any other student outside of Hillsborough, it's easier to explain what math you're taking if you're taking pre-calc. Show choir is a new course that's being added to help choir students more easily meet graduation requirements, and it's fully budgeted for. And then option 2, financial lit, is going to be a cheaper and more efficient way for students who had struggled fitting financial lit into their schedule to take that over the summer or separately during the. And then we also discussed language HIB policy.
All right, you successfully navigated those microphone issues, and thank you, Mr. Kidd. All right, John, do you have anything on the HR agenda?
We did not.
Nope. Okay, so we will move on to governance. Governance was exceptionally light for this meeting, very, very quick. We formally discussed 2 items, one being an update on the legal RFP process, which I think we have 4 candidates we'll be reviewing further with the new board and with our new superintendent, most likely at that point in time. And as well, an update just reviewing the calendar of meetings for this coming year, which will be, I think, approved at the reorg meeting in January. We also discussed one walk-on of note, and that was just questions around meeting minutes and the formality of those meeting minutes. So we went away from very formal meeting minutes to very informal, and we'll probably be moving back somewhere in the middle. Not super exciting information, but just the discussion that we had in committee. Is there any other folks, Mr. Gillette?
Yeah, so I wondered, Paul, although it was not an agenda item for governance, we did receive some information from the superintendent regarding homeschool students and what we're doing with the homeschool students for athletics. So do you want to say anything about that, or you want me to say?
Mr. Gillette.
We didn't have an agenda item. Unfortunately, we were waiting to receive some info, and we did, from the superintendent, receive information that he researched about it. And it seems like, it doesn't seem like, there are many, many schools in our NJSIA conference that do allow it. And there's only 4 that absolutely forbid it, Hillsborough being one. Beyond that, though, we didn't have it on the agenda. I really hope that the new board takes that as a starting off point. I made a remark when I first remarked on this a couple of months ago, or a month, whenever it was. I said that we hadn't looked at this in quite a few years. Well, we hadn't received a legal opinion on it in quite a few years. The board did actually look at it just a few years ago. But I think the emphasis when we looked at it a few years ago was from that administration, that superintendent, not here no longer, was looking for ways to not allow it. I would hope that going forward, we could be looking for ways to allow it, like looking what other school districts have in their policies that do allow it, instead of taking the approach of, here's how we can not allow it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that would be my advice for the new board really examine all those other schools that allow it, see what's in their policies, where they feel confident about allowing it, and then decide whether you want to have it here. Hope that be taken up in the first couple of meetings in January next year.
All right.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other comments on any of the committees that anybody wants to raise?
I just have a question in reviewing the course, the financial literacy course. There was a recommended cost per student. Is that still something that's in discussion or a final decision?
My understanding for that is that we are reducing the cost per student for this. I believe it's from around 200 down to 50. Is my understanding in the change. I don't know if that's up for discussion or if because it's option 2, that's just how we do, how that works intrinsically. Because I think that has to do with what like program we do it through.
55.
Oh, I thought it was one.
Eduseer is $200 right now. Yeah, and the proposal is to make it less, but we don't know the actual cost.
So it's
The
still being
proposal
calculated?
was-
Okay, there was a
yeah, the
recommended cost.
proposal
in order-
was for the- Yeah,
Okay, so
Okay.
it's still being worked out?
all of the details are still being worked out,
Okay, thank you.
so.
Okay, I actually appreciate the clarification.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I just appreciated the clarification.
People don't think it's $50. It's to be determined, right?
Yes.
I think it was
The
higher,
proposal was 150.
right, 150.
All right. All right, we will move on to the board president's report. I will weave in the task at hand into this. So welcome everybody to the last meeting of the year. It's been an exceptionally long year, lots of executive session meetings, lots of meetings in general. Obviously this year started off about as difficult as possible with an investigation that is still not wrapped up. We still don't have the final answers to those questions. We're hoping to in the next coming months. But we, started off the year in a strange place, right? We started off effectively with an acting superintendent. Thank you, Kim, for your time there, and welcome back, I think, in January for stint number 2 until Mr. Volpe joins us. In addition to that, we also moved to having no business administrator and assistant business administrator. We brought in the interim firm to cover us until that point, until we were joined by Jerry and Michelle. So thank you again for joining. We're happy that you're here. Trying to get all the ducks in a row. We managed a bunch of different difficult topics this year. Obviously, masks was a big one at the beginning of the year. We had a couple of folks show up and against the rules that were in place, showing up in masks, and we had to handle that disturbance in meetings. We're not the only district that handled that, but it was an interesting first couple of months of the year. But obviously, we moved on to bigger and better things. We moved through the superintendent search, which was very successful. We have somebody, hopefully, that will be joining us late January at this point. So welcome, Mr. Volpe, who's in the audience now. And in addition to that, I just want to thank those folks who are on the board this year. Obviously, Jason had to drop out early in the year in February, but he was replaced by Mr. Rue, who provided the remainder of the year's worth of service before being appointed to the Township Committee and just had to most recently resign. He's not here, but we do have something for him in recognition of his service to the board. I will then move on to Mr. Oliver. So, Mr. Oliver, we ran together in the beginning. I didn't win that first year, and you did. Not very nice of you. But I will say that, listen, in that time period, you provided some guidance to me, some mentorship. We don't agree on a lot outside of the Board of Ed, except for putting students first. But I appreciate your keeping me honest, keeping me straight in this position here, and making sure that I was focused on making the best decisions. And, although it's only one term, you provide a lot of value to the township. And I just want to thank you for your service. And I think that's it for people leaving the board. No, I'm just kidding. We have somebody who's been on this board, if I say almost as long as I've been alive, is that an HR violation? I don't know. But
Almost
Mr.
as long as Ben.
That's right. Close enough. So Mr. Gillette, you've been on this board for, I think, 15 plus years. What's the count? Do you have the number?
Well, I'm going to say it later at the end of the meeting, but
All
I'll
right.
say it now. 15 years, 8 months, 13 days.
How many hours?
Well, it depends how long the meeting is.
So listen, when I joined the board, I was brand spanking new, didn't know a thing. And I want to thank Greg for always stirring the pot. I think that's the nicest way I can put it. In meetings, he would call people out on things that he didn't think was right, kept the board honest. And in operations and governance this year with Mr. Gillette, the amount of knowledge this gentleman has about the school district is insane. And he's referring to events and discussions and agreements made 10 plus years ago that without him, no one on the board would have any clue on, really, honestly, because nobody else worked in the district, or very few people have worked in the district that long, let alone serving the community. So I don't know how many elections you've actually won. I think you were appointed once.
No, I never was.
Oh, never appointed.
Five
Five elections. So I want to say I'm impressed and in awe of your service to the community, and I just want to thank you from the whole board and the community. Thank you. All right, so with that, I'm excited for 2023. Obviously, we're looking at things like wrapping up the investigation, being able to communicate that final bit of information to the community, being able to bring on Mr. Volpe, and basically have maybe by the middle of next year, a normal Hillsborough Township Board of Education where everything's in place and we're chugging along and we have normal problems. So that's what we're looking forward to. So thank you for your support, the community. And we look forward to another great year and with our two brand new and one returning board members. Actually, two returning because you never left. So thank you, and we'll move on to the superintendent report.
Good evening. On behalf of the administration, teachers, staff, and students, I'd like to echo Paul's recognition of the three outgoing board members, Greg, John, and James. I thank you for your service to the community. Your volunteer service to the community. And thanks for making Hillsborough Township Schools a better place to grow and learn. Mr. Chris Ireland, the supervisor of visual performing and related areas, recently shared that 8 Hillsborough High School students were selected from a pool of 376 applicants from Central New Jersey to participate in the Central New Jersey Music Educators Association Regional Treble and Mixed Choirs after performing a series of assessments. These students will now perform alongside the treble and mixed ensembles on January 29th. Good luck and congratulations. As a reminder, the first Board of Education meeting in January will be held on Wednesday, January 4th. This is our organization meeting, and that must take place in the first week of January. Although the board typically meets on Mondays, this year, because the first Monday in January is a federal holiday, our organization meeting will be on Wednesday, January 4th. On behalf of the Board of Education, I want to wish our families, our staff, happy holidays, a restful and healthy winter break. As a reminder, we will have a minimum day on Friday, the 23rd, for all staff and students. Schools will be closed Monday, December 26th through Monday, January 2nd. Classes resume Tuesday, January 3rd.
And I know someone asked, the reason we're not having the meeting on the Tuesday is because the township reorg, I believe, is on Tuesday.
Right.
So that's why we're having it on Wednesday, so we don't conflict with that reorg meeting. Sorry. to update you.
Exactly.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I do want to say, I was saving this to the end. I want to thank you for your service to the district.
Thank you.
I was letting you get your report done first, but, we need somebody to kind of steer the ship while we were waiting for our new superintendent, and we didn't want to kill Kim being acting forever. So we appreciate your service to the district. So thank you very much.
Thank
You have a
you.
plaque with that. All right. So we will move on to approval of minutes. We have 8-1 and 8-2. Motion to approve executive session minutes, 12/12/22 And motion to approve regular public minutes 12/12/22. Can I get a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll be abstaining.
Thank you. Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to the comments from the public, public input on the action agenda and 2023-2024 budget. We very much welcome input from the public. During the board meetings, there will be 2 30-minute periods of time. The meeting will be over for public comment, where members of the public are invited to comment, which they may do if they are attending in person. During the first public comment period, members of the public may comment about items that are listed on tonight's agenda before the school board votes. During the second public comment period, members of the public may comment on any school or school district issue that the member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the school district. That's for bylaw 0167. Before you state your comment, you'll be asked to provide your name and address. There's a 3-minute limit on public comment. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board believe that there's a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent will address the comment. There may be times that the member of the public makes a comment or asks a question about personnel or hiring decisions. Please note that the Open Public Meetings Act and the privacy rights of employees encompassed therein do not permit the board to discuss personnel issues in public session. So if you have any items, please refer to the agenda item that you are speaking about.
Good evening, Henry Goodhue, Hillsborough Education Association. I wanted to speak to agenda item 10.4, specifically the option 2 financial literacy. And as I do so, I would just like to share a snippet of an email that I received that spoke to hope that we could spend time to review the financial option and make sure that it is sound in terms of members' rights, and that there is a desire to make sure that we are going down the right road before finding out there are issues later. That was the email that I received from an administrator in reference to this course. I received that email at 8:59 last night, and that was the first time that I became aware of what was in the proposal to the district. I share that because following that email, I reached out to the administration and attempted to resolve some of those concerns and was not able to speak with them until 3:59 today. I still have concerns related to this. We have not fully flushed out what some of the responsibilities, which are new additional responsibilities that could be tied to this. There are concerns that the association has related to the structure of what's being proposed. And to be honest, the fact that someone approached our members and discussed these with them in compensation without involving us in it, which is absolutely opposite of statute and contract. So there are very serious concerns related to this. I'm respectfully asking that the board table this until such a time that we can actually follow through on the intent of the email that we received at 9 o'clock last night and discuss this fully to make sure that concerns are appropriately addressed, that everyone feels comfortable with what we're doing so that this can be successful, and that the administration abstain from directly negotiating with our members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodhue. I don't know the issue.
Hello, we are FRC Team 75, the Robo Raiders. In the past couple of months, we've hosted and participated in many meaningful events. We held our annual Boro Blast event on November 19th at the high school. For the first time since 2019, we were able to do so in person. Our hardworking volunteers, referees, and mentors helped make the day a fantastic experience. We had 3 amazing speakers at the opening ceremony: Principal DeLolo, Dr. Felter, and Senator Zwicker. The focal point of the event, the first LEGO League competition, which 24 New Jersey teams participated in, was also a huge success. All the FLL teams' hard work paid off in the exciting matches. The students had a great time competing, and so did all those spectating. In the end, we had 3 Hillsborough teams move on to the state tournament at Mount Olive, and our own Operation Generation won the 2nd place Breakthrough Award there. Congratulations to them.
RVSCS, or the Raritan Valley Science and Technology Showcase, was also a massive hit. Team 75, in collaboration with 3 other Jersey robotics teams from Boundbrook, Somerville, Hunterdon Central, and a variety of other local STEM organizations, planned the event along the course of 6 months and held it for the public in October. This large-scale showcase event encompassed a robotics competition, which our drive team competed in, a college fair, and a number of STEM and robotics exhibitions, scavenger hunts, and workshops for kids, and presented at the Bridgewater Commons. Team 75 members helped with many aspects of this event. In the Community Hub, volunteers work with children from ages 2 to 10 with hands-on science experiments, such as the making of gummy bear launchers and marshmallow and spaghetti towers. Our team also ran workshops for FLL teams in building attachments, programming, and line following. Once students finished their assignments, they got to compete in different tasks around the mall to earn the chance at winning a free trip to Legoland. All the kids had so much fun exploring these hands-on activities. And over the course of the 2 days, the events engaged over 10,000, reached over 50,000, and helped support a number of businesses in and around the mall due to its traction. Our newly formed Freshman First Tech Challenge program has also accomplished so much this year. Our 2 brand new teams have been doing extremely well in competitions and are quickly moving up the ranks of the global leaderboard. We are so grateful to have been able to accomplish so much for our community this year. As 2022 comes to a close, we would like to thank the Board of Education for their continued support of our team and our mission. Can someone come up here to collect the plaque?
Great job.
That's nice. Got that falling down? We'll see how. All right. Do we have any other comments before we end the first round of public comment? Ms. Nurse?
I don't know if this is the right time or before we go into that, but I would be interested in talking about maybe pulling out.
So let's move the motion and then we'll
Okay.
have that conversation. Absolutely. We had a quick chat, I think. Maybe that might be the best. Okay, so we will move on to the agenda, the interim superintendent's agenda.
Yep. I'd like to present for consideration 10 education, 10.1.
Your time's up.
I would try to go as fast as I could. 10.1, motion to affirm the interim superintendent's harassment, intimidation, and bullying determination. 10.2, motion to approve revised curriculum. 10.3, motion to approve curriculum writing. 10.4, motion to approve new course proposals. 10.5, motion to approve course title changes. 10.6, motion to approve affiliation agreement with the School of Social Work at Rutgers University. 10.7, motion to approve field trip destination.
Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion by the board? So I'm going to start with Cindy, a question first.
I
Then we'll
would
move to Ben.
like the board to consider tabling the 10.4 specific to the new financial literacy option 2 until we can find out a little bit more information, especially since it involves the cost within the proposal. I don't think I have a problem with the proposal itself at that course, but I do, in light of new information, would like to have the time to look into that to make sure that our numbers match what we are proposing.
Thank you, Ms. Nurse. Mr. Kidd?
I agree with that. I think that's a good idea. I think that whenever we approve a program like this, part of that assumption is that everything is properly communicated with staff, as is we approve what comes to our, we go over what comes to our table, and we expect a certain amount of diligence in terms of how staff and the administration communicate regarding these matters. If that communication hasn't happened, then I don't think any of us can in good favor vote yes on. So I agree, and I agree in tabling that.
Ms. Lennon-Beater? Similar comment?
I too wanted to agree with tabling that until we can get a better understanding of the whole thing. I also wanted to ask if we could pull out the show choir, separate that out, simply because I need to abstain on that. I do have a conflict. So that one I would need to abstain on.
I think when you vote, you could just abstain on that part.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so we are going to table, sorry.
I'd like to pull out 10.2 for separate vote.
10 point, 2 for a separate vote?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll first do 10.1 through 10.7 excluding 10.2. Sorry, and excluding 10.4. Can we take a roll on that?
Well, 10.4.
We said that 10.2 and 10.4.
Do we have to make a motion to table that to financial literacy
Eventually,
course
yes, to table the
first?
vote.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second for that.
Okay, so I'll move that we table 10.4, item 2, the option 2 financial literacy.
Second.
Second?
Okay.
Do we take a roll on that? Let's take a roll on that.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
I'm sorry, it was on
This is on tabling 10.4 option 2.
10, yes.
Mr. Kidd,
Yes.
Ms. Lanning Beater,
Yes.
Ms. Nurse,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Hio, and Mr. Marino.
Yes, motion passes. So now we will include 10.1 through 10.7 excluding 10.4 option 2.
It's already tabled, but yeah.
I'm saying excluding that and then excluding 10.2 as well. We'll take a roll on that.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Kidd,
Yes.
Ms. Lanning Beater,
I need to abstain on 10-4, but yes.
on the choir portion of 10.4.
On the show choir portion, yes. Sorry.
Ms. Nurse,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Hio, and Mr. Marino.
Yes, motion passes. So, Ms. Jackson, would you like to add any comment around 10.2? No? Okay. Any other comments before we vote on 10.2? All right, so we'll take a roll on 10.2.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
No.
Mr. Kidd,
Yes.
Ms. Lanning Beater,
Yes.
Ms. Nurse,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Hio, and Mr. Marino.
Yes, motion passes. I think that concludes 10.
Yes.
Okay.
Like to present for consideration 11 Human Resources. 11.1, motion to approve addendum to the acting superintendent contract. 11.2, motion to approve retirement. 11.3, motion to approve transfer change in its assignment. 11.4, motion to approve contract change. 11.5, motion to approve leaves of absence. 11.6, motion to approve appointments. 11.7, motion to approve mentor and buddies. 11.8, motion to approve student teacher. 11.9, motion to approve 6th period of coverage. 11.10, motion to approve extra coverage.
Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion by the board on 11? All right, seeing none, we'll move to roll.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Kidd,
Yes.
Ms. Lanning Beater,
Yes.
Ms. Nurse,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Hio, and Mr. Marino.
Yes, motion passes.
I'd like to present for consideration 12 operations. 12.1, motion to approve monthly bills. 12.2, motion to approve monthly financials. 12.3, motion to approve financial status. 12.4, motion to approve line item transfers. 12.5, motion to approve professional service agreement proposal with Energy for America. 12.6, motion to accept proposal from TransFinder for transportation software. 12.7, motion to approve disposal or sale of obsolete equipment.
Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, we'll move to roll.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Kidd,
Yes.
Ms. Lanning Beater,
Yes.
Ms. Nurse,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Hio, and Mr. Marino.
Yes, motion passes. All right, we will move on to the second public comment session. We very much welcome input from the public. During board meetings, there will be 2 30-minute periods of time that the meeting will be open for public comment, where members of the public are invited to comment, which they may do if they are attending in person. During the second public comment period, members of the public may comment on any school or school district issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the school district as per bylaw 0167. Before you state your comment, you will be asked to provide your name. There is a 3-minute limit on public comment. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board believes there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent will address the comment. There may be times when a member of the public makes a comment or asks a question about personnel or hiring decisions. Kindly note that the Open Public Meetings Act and the privacy rights of public employees encompassed therein do not permit the board to discuss personnel issues in public session.
Jane Stats, 101 Devonshire Court. I'm here to thank Mr. Gillette for his 15 2/3 years on the school board. You've contributed so much experience, obviously, but also expertise and knowledge, especially in regards to operations committee. As chair, as Mr. Marini pointed out, your knowledge about that in particular has been so valuable to the board and the board members and the district. I served on operations a year, and you were so helpful explaining, because some of the technicalities of the bills list and financials, you were very patient explaining things, and even met with me at the district office to explain how that all goes. And also, as Mr. Marini pointed out, you're not a rubber stamper. You ask questions, you challenge, and that's good. You know, as I've said to you before, I think it's boring if we all agree. When there's give and take of ideas, when we disagree, I think it's better for everyone involved, as well as the community, because it expands our points of view. And hopefully, I do think my point of view is expanded because of your expertise and different point of view, and I appreciate that.
No time limit on this one, by the way.
Anyway, I'd like to thank you for everything you've done for the school board, but also this district and its students, and good luck, and you will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we get to bring you back as a consultant in the future?
Sure, you can.
Double your rate you make here.
I double the salary.
Linda Malone, 2348 Millstone River Road. I'm sure that all are aware why our family is here. Our son Samuel made a request to the Hillsborough High School on September 16th and to the Board of Education directly on November 14th. As a family since then, we've provided much information to the board via emails, direct correspondence, and during this public forum time. During the November 14th Board of Education meeting, Mr. Gillette did state that he wanted to open the conversation with the board and request further examination and attorney review. And Mr. Gillette also updated us during the November 28th Board of Education meeting that it was briefly discussed at the previous governance meeting, and that Dr. Fishbein, our acting superintendent, was requested to work on finding out some more information in that regard, as well as the intention of it being discussed again in the next governance committee meeting. Our last correspondence requested information as to when these meetings are scheduled for, or if they had occurred. Until tonight, again, because of Mr. Gillette, who brought it up as an addition after the summaries of committee discussions were given, as it was not mentioned, we had not been given any update. It is concerning to hear that the previous administration and/or Board of Education were looking for ways to not allow homeschool students to be included. One usually hears how people can work together to include others. It would be appreciated if we can be provided with any updates of this request and of the legal review. Many or most other New Jersey high schools allow this for their students, their homeschool students, And I'm sure legal review was done for those. Again, what is the hesitation? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Makes sense. The budgets are off.
Hi, Amanda Gillette, 401 Conover Drive. I would just like to express how proud I am of my father for the service that he has done for this community for so many years since I was very young. I'm just very proud of you, Dad, and I'm sad that this will be your last board meeting, but you've been very inspiring to me all these years by doing this kind of service to our community and for our schools. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments by the public? Seeing none, I will close public comment and open it up to the board. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment from the dais?
Open with thanking Mr. Gillette for his service, as most others have done earlier tonight. I wanted to share a memory, which is actually quite fitting because Ms. Gillette is here. It was your graduation speech at the 2017 commencement exercises, and I held what you said during that speech, just one piece of it, that public education is a gift from the Hillsborough community to its students. And I actually went back to listen to your speech. Sorry, did I steal your?
No, I'm going to say
My
it again
apologies,
tonight,
my
but go ahead.
apologies.
Go ahead.
One of the things you did say earlier in that speech, and I forgot about this, is that most people will forget the speech that was given at graduation. But I remember that from 2017, and I held it with me because as we work on the Board of Education, the work that we do is the community's gift to its students and to its graduates. So I wanted to thank you for your service. 15 years is a really long time. It's a huge loss for our district with your knowledge and your dedication. And on behalf of New Jersey School Boards Association, I have a 15-year pin, which I will give to you after the end of the meeting. But congratulations on your service and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Any of the board members?
I can't follow you, Greg. This is getting too teary-eyed now.
I'm going to go last. Mine's short.
All right, Mr. Oliver.
So it's been a wild ride. 3 years goes by very quickly. As Paul said, I didn't know Paul. Paul and I first met. We were kind of a Twix bar. Paul was the left side, I was the right side. But we had a mutual friend that said, I think you guys would hit it off. And with what's going on in the district right now, we've just been faced with a lot of teacher layoffs, and I think you guys would really hit it off. So we ran a campaign together, and Paul and I have become very good friends at this point. While, as Paul said, we don't necessarily always agree on everything, we always put one thing first, and that's the students. And I think that's what it's all about, and that's what Paul and I always kept near and dear to our hearts. What's right for the students? So Paul did desert me that first year. I was on the board by myself. I thank Paul that he tried again and was successful. And he's done a phenomenal job. I couldn't be, I'm not trying to be condescending, but prouder how he's just grown as what I feel to be the leader of the district. It was always my intention to be one and done. I never wanted to run for a second term. I was challenged by my children and my wife. They thought that I could lend some good to the district, and I hope I did. But talk about a time when you want to become a board member. Wow. COVID, meetings from home, remote, Zoom. What was the catchphrase all the time, Greg? You're on mute. We should have all had T-shirts, you're on mute. Meetings till 12 o'clock. How many times do we have to extend the meetings past midnight? No one realizes how much time this takes, right? They see 2 board meetings a month. They don't see the 2-3 committee meetings. They don't see those meetings going till midnight, 1 in the morning. It takes a lot of time. But I wouldn't have changed it. I did what I wanted to do. I stuck it out. That being said, thank you to my wife, my children. They weren't kind enough to come here tonight. So once again, Greg, you one-up me, Greg. But that's very impressive that your family's here tonight. That's awesome.
Once in 15 years.
You know, and I'm not going to, Greg has been a tremendous mentor to me as a first-time board member. Greg was always available to speak to me, to guide me, to walk through the bylaws and what's right and what's wrong and what you can do and you can't do. But to echo many comments tonight, Greg challenged everyone because oftentimes, and I know Paul and Cindy and we all struggled with this, it doesn't make sense, right? It just didn't make sense. So, you know, we started to challenge those things, and boy, what did we find when we challenged? We don't even know what we found yet, but in the coming months, let's hope we do know. But I think the foundation has been laid for this district to really, really shine. I'm excited to see Mike Volpe in the audience. And as I said, the one nice thing I see about Mike is whenever I see Mike, that smile is contagious. So I'm looking forward to seeing that smile walking the halls in the school and walking around town and gaining the trust of the taxpayers, of the residents, which I am and will continue to be. I have a daughter graduating this year, but even though I will no longer have children in the school, my heart is still with Hillsborough, as I know Mike's is and as I know Greg's will always be. So, Greg, I just want to say once again, thank you. You've really helped me grow. There's a lot of things I wish I didn't know. And I'll never get to forget those things, but you've been a tremendous help and an inspiration, and I can't thank you enough.
Let me talk. Thanks, Mr. Oliver.
I didn't cry, Greg.
Anybody else? Anybody?
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, well, first of all, thank you for all the kind words I heard tonight. That was unexpected and very nice and heartwarming. And I do have one. It's in there. It's a little bit bigger than the Grinch's. It's in there somewhere. But I do want to spend a few minutes thanking. I have a lot of people to thank, but it's only one. It's not quite a manifesto. Just one page, big print. First of all, I have to thank my beautiful wife Patty, who's in the public today. My daughter Amanda, who you met, came to the podium just a few minutes ago. My son William is also here. Without the support of the three of them, I could have never done this. I think I've been married 32 years. I've been on the board for almost 16. So half my married life, my wife's had to put up with this. And it's really amazing that she did that. And of course, my kids too. I also didn't want to leave out two other members that we've had in our family. I've had two dogs since I've been on the board. You all remember Benjamin, who I used to say when it got past like 10 o'clock, I would say, look, he's crossing all four of his legs. I got to get home to walk him. Let's get out of here. And then Hamilton now, he also waits for me. So all hours, whenever it is. So thank you for being patient, Benjamin, and now Hamilton. Also want to call out a few people. I knew this person for just a couple of years when he came to me. This is Township Administrator Anthony Ferreira. I'd been a friend of his for a couple of years when he came to me and suggested, hey, would you ever thought about running? His exact words were, did you ever think about running for school board? And I really hadn't. And it didn't occur to me to do that. And he first put the idea in my head, and within 2 weeks, my petition was in. I was running for school board. That was back in 2007. Also, at the same time, I want to thank no longer with us, unfortunately, Assemblyman Pete Biondi, who was an early mentor to me and supported me and gave me a way of looking at public service, which I really appreciate. Also, sadly not with us, someone who was a former school board member and someone that I value dearly. She's passed on now, former school board member Marion Fenwick. My kids used to call her my other mother because she would call me almost every day sometimes and leave messages for me, and we talked a lot. And she gave me a lot of good ideas too. Of course, the residents of Hillsborough Millstone elected me in 2007 and sent me back 4 more times. Thank you to all of you. There were a group of parents that supported me early on. And I'm just going to call out some of their first names. If they're listening, maybe they'll know who they are. Mary, Kristen, Karen, Kathy, Deanna, Lisa, and many others were there right from the beginning, and I really appreciate that. We know that the school administrators and the New Jersey School Boards Association will tell board members that their constituents are not the people that elected them. Yet at the same time, they've set up a system where board members are elected by the public. You know, if the powers that be are going to continue to want it both ways, then I urge the current and future board members to call their bluff and always look out for the interest of the public every chance you get. If they're going to have this system where we're elected by the public, then please, no matter what they say, represent the public. I want to thank people in the board office that I particularly worked with and made my job much easier. I was always in the operations and finance area since I've been a board member, so I want to thank Mr. Eckert, who's now in his second go-round with the board. I'm sorry, Jerry, that I couldn't have been here longer for you this time. Also want to thank the administrative assistants, is that what they're called? Teresa Klein and Kate Shaughnessy, the executive administrative assistants. They've always been helpful and answered questions, and especially as regards all the time I spent doing the bill review all those years until COVID. I did it pretty much every month in the office, and I want to thank Trish Donatelli and Tiffany Zone, and neither of them work in the district anymore, but they both were very helpful to me. Of course, I want to thank all of our superintendents, assistant superintendents, interim superintendents, and acting superintendents I've served with over the years here on this dais. There are too many to mention now, going all the way back to Karen Lake in 2007. Also, Attorney Stephen Fogarty, who I learned a lot from. He gave me a new way of thinking also about how the whole legal aspect of the board works, and I enjoyed making him laugh, so that was good. The New Jersey School Boards Association commands board members to remember that they do not act alone, but as a body. This is actually no different from any other elected group. So the reasons board members are singled out for this admonishment is not clear. What is clear, though, is that your elected board members are individuals. I have served with 34 board members in my 15 years, 8 months, and 13 days on the board. And I've learned from every one of them, regardless of whether I was on the board with them for 12 years or 2 months. And I'd like to recognize them now in something that no one else, retiring board member, has ever done, by stating the names of the board members I've served with, because these are the people that have been most important to me on this board. 2 board members I ran with when I first ran for election, John Donadio and Frank Landino. Some other ones that were on that first board with me, Steve Paget, Mark Rosenberg, David Lynn, David Canopy, Neil Hughes. Also Wolf Schneider, who I spoke with today. And he's quite happy that I'm getting out of this racket, to tell you the truth. Also some early board members, Judy Haas, Peg Hewitt, who came from the Millstone board when we combined boards, and that for that a year or so, we actually had a 10-member board because we were obliged to put her on this board, and she had decades of experience as a board member in their school district. So that was a lot of fun. Some other early board members, Tuyan Alay, Chris Pulsifer, who was on a couple times. Also want to especially mention 4 board members that I served with from 2007 to, around 2010 to 2018. Tom Kinst, Jen Penn, Clementoni, Dana Boguszewski, and Dina Centofanti. The 5 of us were very close at that time, and although we disagreed on just about everything, we were very solid in our commitment, and I enjoyed serving with them. Also, quickly, Dev Dutta, Lorraine Swasan, Brett Cooper, Steve Cohen, Ann Harris, Joyce Eldridge Howard, Lisa Maroon, Jane Stotts, who will be returning to the board in a couple of weeks, Jason Albanese, who was only here for a couple of months, and of course, Jean Trujillo, who after I'm gone will be the longest tenured board member, just completing her 2nd term now. Jim Rue, who just resigned recently, and of course the current board members that I haven't already mentioned, John Oliver, Paul Marini, Cindy Nurse, Benjamin Kidd, Elaine Jackson, and Allison Laney Bader. So as Jean said, at the 2017 graduation, I spoke about the purpose of public education, that it was about much more than the 3 R's. Education is about the 3 R's. Public education, on the other hand, is about turning out good American citizens who will, as Hillsborough's mission statement reads, lead us successfully and responsibly into the future. I also spoke about diversity at that graduation and the key role that it plays in American exceptionalism. We need look no further than America's first motto, E pluribus unum, to understand that diversity has always been America's strength, because this is the only nation where people set aside their different cultural traditions, religious beliefs, and ethnic heritage to become Americans in a country founded on the ideal of individual liberty above all else. Through public education, we give our children the gift of America, and I'm thankful to you all for allowing me to be a small part of it. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
And for the last time here, thank you, Mr. Gillette. All right. I think we'll end on that unless anybody has anything else they want to. I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of ending Greg's tenure?
Aye.
Thank you.
Somebody could still do something.